Unit 8 of International Marketing, that is on segmentation, targeting, and positioning. I hope all of you are able to hear me. So, before we start the session, let us first look at the objectives. The first one is to understand the importance of segmentation, targeting, and positioning, or STP, as we know in a more common parlance. However, this is related to more of international marketing than general marketing, that is limited to the domestic region. We'll also be discussing the criteria on the basis of which segmentation is undertaken and the factors to be considered while targeting global markets. And finally, we'll be looking at the techniques and tools of positioning products and services in global markets. So, in terms of structure, what we are going to follow is number one, the introduction, and then that will be followed by global market segmentation, international targeting, global product positioning, marketing in underdeveloping countries, and finally we move to the summary. So let us start first with understanding the broad concept of STP and how it pans out in an international market. So if we were to look at it, a sports shoe company like Nike, they have not limited themselves to just sports shoes, but we know the entire sportswear and sports kits as well. So if we were to look at Nike, they are the world's first sports fitness equipment company. So this is going beyond what we are talking in terms of shoes, clothes, etc. So how did this happen? It is primarily attributed to its segmenting, targeting, and positioning strategy. So you can understand how successfully a company has been able to move forward into a global market and be very successful at its business by taking care of its primary marketing strategy, that is STP, segmenting, targeting, and positioning. So if we look in terms of the sports shoe market into three segments using the marketing pyramid theory, so according to the theory, the pyramid consists of three levels. And at the topmost, we have the serious athletes who devote themselves to sports. And at the second level, the weekend athletes who view sports as a leisure activity. And at the lowest level are the millions who wear sports shoes in a very casual way. I don't know about you, but I definitely come in the third level or the lowest level. So after segmenting the market, Nike primarily targeted the hardcore athletes. So what the company believed is that if the five cool guys, the best and the most popular athletes in a reference group, whether it's a sports team, college, or a schoolwear, wear Nike shoes, then everyone else will want to emulate them. So think in terms of the strategy. How very clear cut and pointed. So Nike therefore used celebrities from various sports in advertisement campaign to popularize their products. So they didn't restrict themselves to just soccer or basketball or tennis. They went all out. So we have people like Michael Jordan from basketball, Tiger Woods from golf, Andre Agassi from tennis, and Ronaldo from soccer endorsing their products. And today we have a lot of new athletes who are equally popular and who are also endorsing Nike, whether at the domestic market or international market. So the company also signed deals with various popular college teams like Dallas Cowboys and Brazil's national soccer squad. In the earlier 2000s, the company considered sponsoring special events like uh, soccer matches, golf tournaments, etc. So, if talking to the CEO of the company, who's also the founder, Phil Knight, he said very clearly, we promote our athletes and brand while at the same time making money on the event. It's a pretty good strategy. So, if you were to see, it's a double-edged sword, but in this case, both sides are paying for the company. So, with the help of advertising, Nike created a unique position for itself as high quality brand. And by using the pyramid and reference group strategies, like we had the three level division of the pyramid, with the smallest point at the top and the broad base at the bottom, Nike traded on people's tendency to emulate more successful people. So NBA player Michael Jordan, who is very well known to most who follow basketball, is the most famous celebrity to endorse Nike. So after signing on Jordan, what did the company do? They did a very special feature. They introduced something called special shoes called Air Jordan. Now, who follows basketball and who will not want to wear Air Jordan shoes, irrespective of the cost of that particular shoes? So, and if you see the colors also, they used a very nice mix of black, red, and white that Jordan wore, and it became very, very popular. So the NBA considered the shoes too colorful and banned the users in the matches. However, Jordan defied the association by wearing the shoes in every game. So what happened? At one end, he was promoting the shoes, but at the other end, Jordan was also being a little defiant when he was going against NBA's diktat not to wear those kind of shoes which are too colorful. So they set the right tone in front of their, consumers and potential buyers. So the appeal of the brand increased. That these are Nike is not a company which will bow down to rules. It will make its own rules. And if you recall the slogan that they have, it says just do it. So let's go, just do it. So in terms of global market segmentation, what is important to understand is the process of identifying groups or set of potential customers at either the national or subnational level that are likely to exhibit similar buying behavior. So that is known as segmentation. So potentially we are talking in terms of people who have some homogeneity among them. So they exhibit similar buying behavior. So that becomes one segmentation, and then we can have multiple segmentations. So the product and pricing and advertising strategies are tailored to that particular segment. Now, let's move on to the next part where we are talking in terms of international market. So, in an international market too, similar to a domestic market, we need to identify the patterns of similarity that act as a platform for global integration. So it is both at the strategic and operational levels. That is strategic at a broader level and operational at a more, company and regular level, base level. So market segmentation helps organizations to identify the groups that respond differently to their marketing needs and allows them to frame a tailored marketing mix for different segments. So we are talking in terms of tailoring or customizing the marketing mix in terms of the 4Ps: product, price, place, and promotion for each of these segments. Now, there can be an overlap in one or two segments. However, most companies, if you see, they are far more successful when they are able to tailor their marketing mix to each of the markets. The kind of tailoring they may do or the kind of customization they may do may be very, very minimal. For example, if you see the ads of, say, companies like Levi's or Adidas, the type of ad is pretty much similar globally. However, what they do is they take on some local, either a celebrity or a sports person or someone from the entertainment business to endorse their products. But however, the philosophy of the ad remains the same. So the ad go out and have an ad segmentation or so that differentiating from the international ads or promotional mix and also reaching out to the local sensibilities of the customers. So, in terms of how researchers have come up with the basis for segmentation, primarily what they have done is they have identified nine factors for dividing the markets. So, the most popular among them, of course, is, as we know, the individual characteristics or the demographic. Then we also have the psychographic and behavioral criteria. So when we talk in terms of demographic segmentation, that is the individual characteristics of a person based on factors like age, gender, etc. What Peter G.P. Walters has defined as demographic variables have obvious potential as cross-national segmentation criteria. So, what are the measurable characteristics of an individual? There are factors like age, gender, education, income levels, occupation, culture, etc. They form the base in demographic segmentation. Then there are certain global trends that we see, like the changing roles of women, who are now not only you know tied to the house, but then they have gone beyond and they're working at an equal level in a corporate world, or the trend for fewer married couples, or people who are going for fewer children, or DINK, double income, no kids, trends, or higher income and better living standards, the degree of urbanization that we see, not just in urban areas, but rural areas as well, and the kind of flow of the birth and death rates, etc. So these are all factors which add to the demographic segmentation. So if you look in terms of age, age is definitely a very significant factor. Because of this, the companies are able to divide the potential customers broadly into adults, teenagers, and children. For example, if we were to look at Horlicks, they were very clear in their targeting of children. So their products were tailored for children. But now we have women's Horlicks, which is a different segmentation that they have done based on gender. So these are parameters that we need to consider. Now, you may also notice that in the US, there is a specific children's category, and marketers may segment their market further into preschool goers, early preschool, that is between 3 to 5 years of age, and older preschool goers, that is 5 to 10 years of age. Now, while we are talking about US, we also need to understand this is not specific to US. It is pretty universal. We have similar segmentation in any of the countries, including India. But what is important is why they are going into such detailing. Because the toys, games, and magazines are manufactured or published and marketed according to age groups. For example, if you see the kind of books that preschoolers refer, they are primarily consisting of a lot of pictorial, diagrams or stories written in large letters with little content. And as we move into, say, adolescent stage, you will find that the books are more, less pictorial, but they use comics, or they use fonts which are a little different from the normal fonts. The reason why this is happening is because of the change in trends. Earlier, if you see children's books, except for the front cover, there were absolutely no pictures, or very few pictures within the books. But now, if you see, there are a lot of pictures every page. They try to use a language which is very, very comfortable for teenagers. So that is how we are doing segmentation based on age. If you move on, Coca-Cola, Reebok, Nike, Swatch, Benetton, they're all examples of international brands that are appealing to global teenagers. And that is just one segment or one homogeneous group. Then we talk in terms of gender. So generally, there are genders which are meant for women or genders which are meant for men. like textiles, cosmetics, toiletries, magazines, hairdressing, shoes. They were earlier focused mostly on women. But today, if you see in terms of cosmetics or toiletries, or even textiles or hairdressing, we see that there is an equal market and an equal level of advertisement for the male gender as well. This is because of the evolution or the change in trends that has happened over recent decade or so. In terms of education, now whether pharma companies, for example, how they approach their products and talk to doctors will be very very different from how they'll talk about its usage to the general public. For example, if they're talking to doctors, they would focus more on composition of the medicines and its contraindications, as well as how it is going to help the the patient and vis-a-vis any other drug. Whereas if they're talking to general public, then what they will actually focus on is how it is going to benefit or relieve the pain of a normal patient. So the entire strategy is very very different. Then again, in terms of income levels, it is pretty much understandable that the products are based on the segmentation that happens in terms of income, whether it's high, middle, or low income. Culture is another important factor that is considered. Here we need to understand that when we talk in terms of culture, it includes customs, beliefs, and social norms which play a dominating role. Now, what Hofstede has done, he has given 5 dimensions for classifying economies on the basis of culture. They are individual versus collectivism, power distance, that is PD, uncertainty avoidance, that is UA, masculinity versus femininity, and strategic orientation, that is long term versus short term. So, firms operating in international markets should understand the cultural differences of segments. For example, if we were to look in terms of, say, countries like Austria, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, Great Britain, and Ireland, they're highly masculine economies with medium level of individualism. Whereas if you were to see a country like the US or UK, you would say that it is more in terms of a mixed economy with both male and female having an equal role to play. The medium level of individualism is now changed to a higher level of individualism. So that is what we are talking about. So individualism versus collectivism. Now, if we talk in terms of psychographic segmentation, according to Peter G.P. Walters, he has stated that lifestyle factors are used to segment the market, the way of living. So, fundamentally, if you look at it, lifestyle talks about the way of living. So, how are people living both at work and at leisure are taken into consideration. Questionnaires are used to obtain related data, and the respondents have to indicate the extent to which they agree or disagree with a series of statements. And based on that, there is a certain groupism that happens in terms of the responses, and a psychographic segmentation is done. So here, psychographic segmentation gives valuable data and a better explanation for consumer differences than demographic segmentation. So many market research organizations, they undertake psychographic segmentation to study factors like lifestyles, personalities, goals, motivations, and values of people in various countries. For example, the global advertising agency Baker, Spielvogel, and Bates Worldwide, that is BB, is one of the top advertising agencies worldwide, made a psychographic segmentation study of 18 countries. They called it the global scan. So, what did the study do? They understood 5 factors when they were doing this psychographic study. That is They divided the segments based on the psychographics of the people, on the based on the responses as strivers, achievers, pressured, traditional, and adapters. So here we are talking in terms of strivers, people who are, still trying to reach a specific goal, whereas achievers are usually older than strivers and they have already achieved some level of success. Pressured are people or segments who are mostly they consist of women of different age groups. They face constant financial and family pressure. Then we have the traditionals who are rooted in the past. They do not want to change. They are pretty much fixed in their habits and they give high importance to heritage, values, and culture of their country. And then we have the fifth segment that is known as the adapters. They are older people who are content with their lives. They try to manage their values at the same time they are open to change. So it depends on where we think we fit into in terms of this five factor segmentation based on the psychographics of the people. Now, as per the research done by BSB, that is Baker, Spielvogel, and Bates worldwide. Now, moving on, we understand that this study helps in identifying several groups across nations and also in identifying the strongest group in a particular country. For example, if we talk of Porsche AG, the luxury car maker, what they have done is they have identified five different groups among its customers. So they are Top Guns, elitists, proud patrons, born vivants, and fantastic stars. So let us see what each of this group talks about. So when we talk in terms of posh Top Guns, these are highly driven and ambitious kind of people. Whereas elitists are old money. They have money from the past. So for them, a car is not just a car, no matter how expensive. They don't give undue importance to the car, but they do manage to have a large fleet of cars. Then we have the third group who are the proud patrons. So who are they? They are they have an ownership for them. That is an end in itself, meaning they work very hard and they earn by hard work. So there is no particular need to be noticed. They are not the show off kind of people, but they are very proud of what they own. Then we have the born vivants. These are worldly jet setters and thrill seekers. Car heightens the excitement in their passionate lives. And then we have the fantasists. There for them, the car is an escape. They are uninterested in impressing others. They feel a little guilty about owning a Porsche. So this is a kind of a division or segmentation that was done by Porsche in terms of the psychography of their patrons. So another example is in terms of an alcohol market. So here they have divided the market into three psychographic segments. They are image seekers, task seekers, and commodity drinkers. So who are these image seekers? As the name itself suggests, these are people who are primarily craving for an image and they like to be noticed. So they're usually a lot more, outward in their behavior than others. Whereas the task seekers are usually there to primarily, quench their thirst. So they drink to quench their thirst. And then we have the commodity drinkers. For them, drinking is a way of life. They drink every day, either before or after meals. So that is how segmentation is done based on psychographics. We have seen three different examples from three different domains. Moving on, in terms of the behavioral segmentation, this is based on how the customer behaves towards a particular product, whether they wish to buy the product or not, and if they do, how often they buy it, how frequently they use it, where they use it. So factors like that are considered under behavioral segmentation. Here, the market is classified based on the knowledge, attitude, uses, and responses of the customers towards the product. So, occasions, usage rate, benefits sought, loyalty status, user status, and buyer readiness are important factors to be considered under this segmentation. So, in terms of occasion, markets are segmented on the basis of various occasions. For example, are you buying on a day to day basis or for some specific occasions? A simple example is that of cakes. People don't buy cake, at least the well decorated one on a daily basis. We usually keep that to birthday parties mostly. But today, if you see what the cake industry has done is they have come out with various forms of cakes like Britannia cake, which tries to appeal to customers on a day-to-day basis. They are no more wanting to restrict it to special occasions. The second one is usage rate. How much do you use? Is it heavy, medium, light, or non-users? An example of this may be consumption of cigarettes or even let's say cooking oil. That's also an indication whether you use a lot of oil or medium oil or fundamentally you don't cook it also. You're a non-user. So benefits sought. So what kind of benefits are you getting from the product? So those who buy only for the sake of benefits may be grouped under one head, whereas customers also look at the extra benefits they may get, whether it is in terms of qualitative, that is better value for money, or economical, that is in terms of any discounts or any products attached to it. Like for example, you buy toothpaste and you get a brush free. So that is an example of an economical value add. Then we talk in terms of loyalty status. Based on this trait, customers may be grouped under different heads like hardcore loyal, softcore loyal, and switchers. So hardcore loyals are those people who stick to only one brand or product throughout. They are usually reluctant to buy other products, but may occasionally buy other products. Whereas switchers are not loyal to any brand or product, they keep switching. Whereas the soft core loyal are those who switch occasionally, but fundamentally they stick to one particular brand. So this is something that is seen very often in products like soaps, creams, paste, etc. Brand loyalty is one of the most important factors that companies consider while targeting their specific customers. Then we talk in terms of user status. So, depending on the user status, groups may be formed like potential users, ex users, regulars, first timers, users of competitors' products, non users, etc. And why this becomes very, very important is it is far cheaper in all ways, both in terms of economic considerations and in terms of advertising and promotional efforts to retain a current customer than to get back an ex customer or to get a new customer. So that is why companies have a lot of focus on customer retention. The next one is in terms of buyer readiness product. Where are they in terms of their purchase decisions? Or if you see in terms of the funnel or the readiness stage line, the first one is in terms of awareness. They know about the product, knowledge. They have gained some understanding of the product, liking. They have used it and developed a taste for it. It has become their preference. Finally, a conviction and a purchase happens. This is usually called as formulating and monitoring marketing communication strategies, which are employed to move consumers from the stage of awareness towards purchase of a product or brand. So this is called as the buyer readiness stage. So market segmentation helps marketers to standardize products while serving different economies at the same time. This helps in them to take full advantage of economies of scale. And global markets can be very successful ground for marketers if they adopt the think globally and act locally philosophy. Now, let us look in terms of international targeting. Targeting is the process of selecting the highest potential customers. When we are talking of highest potential customers, we are talking in terms of people who have the largest opportunity for the company with whom they can do business. So the organization is looking at people who have the highest potential. So it can also be described as a process of eliminating undesirable market segments while choosing a few. Rather than this, of course, depends on the company's marketing strategy. Some may, want to spread their butter all around and say, let us try to grab a little from each market. Whereas there are companies which say, let us just focus on a few markets and try to get the highest volume of business and potentially the highest amount of profit from those specific markets. So this is a process which has been defined by Warren J. Keegan as the act of evaluating and comparing the identified groups and then selecting one or more of them as the prospects with highest potential. Now, we know that there are products which are sold at a high premium. For example, we see it often in the auto industry, like, say, a jogger or a Mercedes or an Audi or a Porsche, which we were talking of earlier. Now, everyone will not be able to buy them. Now, the company has a very clear strategy in terms of whom they want to reach. Whereas if you talk in terms of a brand like Maruti, they're looking at bottom up kind of an approach. So where they're trying to reach the easiest consumer base, that is the medium income level, and then moving up and down in terms of their spread of products and the product lines that they are regularly introducing. So, a marketing mix which is designed for these markets gives organizations the best returns because they are focusing on markets with the highest potential. So, that means at the same time, they're giving the maximum amount of value to the customers. So, global targeting can be considered as identifying market segments throughout the world, targeting a few segments, and designing suitable marketing mix strategies for each of these segments. The process of targeting involves balanced view of company resources and capabilities. So, if we look in terms of Barbie's success story, what did the company do? Mattel and Company, which is having Barbie as one of its most prominent products. We know that Mattel and Company has tons of products, games for children, but Barbie is definitely one of the most popular products. They are fundamentally aimed at young girls who prefer to play with adult looking dolls. So, see the kind of detailing that has happened. Who is the target customer? It is young girls. And what do they like to play? They like to play with dolls. Now, this is something that we all know, but and it's very commonplace. But what did Mattel and Company do with Barbie? They identified a market where young girls want to play with dolls which have which are adult looking. So the company started producing a three-dimensional doll that did look like an adult for its niche segment of girls in the age group of 8 to 12 years. And the dolls named Barbie became such a big hit with the target segment. But parents were not happy with the concept because parents want children to play, young girls to play with dolls which are to their suitable for their age group. So what did the company do? The company changed track to position Barbie as a teaching tool that would encourage girls to become well groomed young ladies. So Barbie was therefore projected as a role model for American girls. And this strategy worked well. And priced at USD 3, Barbie sold 51,000 units in the first unit of its launch. And then, based on the demands of the target segment, the company introduced many pets and friends of Barbie. So they made, like a family of Barbie supporters. So by 1963, the company was selling around 2 million Barbies. And this, is the time when the company introduced the doll in the international market and got a favorable response. Then, having done that, they went a step further. They started adopting a differentiated target market set strategy. We were talking about this earlier today. So, what did they do? They developed and launched Japanese, Indian, and Mexican Barbies according to the tastes of the target segments in different markets. The company was conscious of the changing role of women and quickly adapted to changing trends. It also changed the doll's appearance from time to time and made it attractive to the target market by always reflecting what girls were interested in. And by 2002, more than 1 billion Barbie dolls, including its friends and pet animals, have been sold worldwide. And we also know that it has become one of the most popular fashion dolls across the countries. Another interesting development that took place was the release of the movie Barbie, where if you see both Barbie and her friends are very most of her friends for that matter are very independent. You know, they have clear choices. They are individuals by themselves. So what the company has done is not just in terms of its products and its offerings, or even in the form of the movie that came out later. It though it was from a different studio, they have tried to project Barbie to meet the trends of that particular generation. So, criteria for targeting. So, what would be the considerations here? The first one is, of course, the current size and growth potential. How big is the market today? Is it a single market country? Is it a standardized product that I can introduce, or is it something that I want to go across multiple countries? So I may have to tailor or customize my product for each of these countries. Second is, of course, the competition. What is the potential competition like? How many players, direct and indirect competition? What are their products? Is it in the same segment? Is it the same price range? Are the products comparable, or are they offering things which are, more value add to the customer? Is it in terms of the inputs, that is raw materials, components, sub-assemblies? So there are different factors to determining the vertical relationships in the market. So the company should also consider the performance of substitutes and their impact on the target market. The next factor that is important here is compatibility and feasibility. So this is the last criteria that a company considers. Here, when you're talking in terms of compatibility and feasibility, a company might decide to enter a market where there are no, serious competitors, or if there is no tough competition in a particular segment. But before doing so, it should also consider the laws and environmental restrictions of that particular segment. The company also needs to understand why there are so few players in that market, or why there is no tough competition. That will also give them an indication of why there are whether that market is good for them or not. In terms of evaluation, it also needs to consider its own capabilities, resources, and long term objectives with that of the target segment. For example, if a company is manufacturing tobacco products, the companies may decide to enter certain markets because those markets are allowing um, cigarettes to be sold. But over a period in time, the companies may understand that those countries are also becoming more stringent in their rules and regulations about tobacco use. For example, in the US, you see there's a lot of promotion of cigarettes or use of tobaccos outside their own country as well. The next factor to be considered is selecting a global target market strategy. So here there are factors that need to be considered after the criteria has been set. And what are they? They are one, in terms of undifferentiated global marketing strategy. Second is concentrated global marketing strategy. And third is differentiated global marketing strategy. So first is undifferentiated, second is concentrated, third is differentiated global marketing strategy. So, looking at the pros and cons of each of these, let us try to understand them in a little more detail, as this is what a company will, able to refer to before making a final decision of entering into a foreign segment. So, in terms of the features, the number of market segments in an undifferentiated global are multiple from a company's perspective. In a concentrated one, there is only one single market segment on which they are concentrating. Whereas in terms of differentiated global market strategy, again, that means that there are multiple market segments. In terms of the marketing mix strategy, in an undifferentiated global market strategy, a company will have only one market strategy, one single marketing mix strategy. The same goes for single, as in concentrated. However, when a company enters into a differentiated global market strategy, the very word differentiated indicates that the company will use multiple marketing mix strategies to focus on that particular market. In terms of niche marketing segments, in an undifferentiated global market strategy, they'll fundamentally ignore, because they are having a single agenda for, they are treating the entire market as single segment. It is considered a homogeneous market. So there is not much of a niche market segment that is happening there. Whereas in concentrated, it is not applicable because there is only one market that they are focusing on. Whereas in terms of a differentiated global marketing strategy, whether it is niche or not is definitely a factor that the company will study in detail. And if we talk in terms of sales, in an undifferentiated global market strategy, it's moderate. In concentrated, it is limited because it is a small market. Whereas in a differentiated global market strategy, with that, there is a higher opportunity for sales. Now, moving on, let us go to the global product positioning. So here, if you talk in terms of segmenting on the market and targeting one or more segments, a marketer tries to sell his product with the help of product positioning. So what did Warren J. Keegan define? He defined that product positioning is the process whereby a company establishes an image for its brands in the minds of consumers relative to the image of competitors' product offerings. So, when we are talking in terms of positioning, an important thing that you need to remember is here we are talking from a consumer's point of view. What is the consumer's image of your brand or product vis-a-vis that of a competitor's product offering? So that is an important element, the consumer point of view. Johnny K. Jones and Hans P. Torelli describe product positioning as an activity by which desirable positioning in the minds of the consumer is created for the product. Perceptions of the consumers are vital in positioning a product. So, marketers should take care that correct information is passed on to the target segment. Particularly if you're talking in terms of a global positioning strategy for the product, an example that we can consider is that of Revlon. It follows a global advertising campaign geared by the theme Shake Your Body for all its products. Again, looking at companies like Coca Cola, McDonald's, Gillette, DuPont, IBM, Himalaya Drugs Company, there are also companies which have positioned their products well in the global market. So, a company can get a number of short term and long term benefits by positioning the products globally. So, what are the benefits like? Companies will not be affected by any recession in the domestic market as their products are positioned internationally. Second advantage is the companies that position their products internationally can enjoy certain tax benefits. The third one is even if the home market has stagnated and is not lucrative any longer, positioning the product in global market can prolong its life. And by concentrating on global markets, a company can escape from or tackle any severe competition in the home market. Automobiles definitely are one of the best examples of why companies have moved across the shores to sell their vehicles. And finally, a company can successfully leverage its strengths with the help of its global activity. So, according to a study, product categories that offer either end of a high touch or high tech continuum have the most effective global positioning. That is why, even in the automobile industry, they talk both in terms of touch and tech when they are describing their automobile features. So both types of continuum are characterized by a high level of customer involvement and share a common language. So, positioning L'Oreal as a global brand, what did the company do? So, being a cosmetic giant from the French region, the company initially faced hardships in positioning internationally because it was very close, closely positioned to its Parisian sophistication. Everyone who knows France and Paris know it is that the products from there are very sophisticated and meant for an elite few. So what did the company do? They started taking concrete steps to start positioning itself as a globally recognized brand and also as a leading cosmetic company in the world. The company started acquiring different brands of different origins. So they are no more restricted to just, say, French products or French companies. They were going globally all the way. So they chose to work with brands of different cultures, and the company started taking a different road deliberately. So, if you see in terms of the strategy, what L'Oreal do? They started promoting all their brands in different nations, and it made sure that each of the brands had its own image and took care of that image of one product did not overlap with the image of another product in its own kitty, so that they were catering to different market segments with different products and everything from the stable of L'Oreal. So, one of the advertisements, the model sported a green lipstick and white eyeshadow. They thought that this is very, example of an advertisement which is gone wrong. It is very incoherent. Imagine a green lipstick and white eyeshadow. But Jones, who was studying this, company, they said the worldwide luxury consumer no longer equates to a middle-aged lady. She can be, but she can also be young and trendy. So the whole idea that it is incongruous for Helena Rubinstein to be cutting edge in terms of image and makeup is out of date by about 10 years. So what they are trying to say is that with this product, the company tried to project an image of being very, very cool in a market like traditional luxury brands, which are considered very hot couture and very, very elitist. So the company L'Oreal, they positioned their product Helena as a luxury brand for younger audience without overlapping its image of other brands like Bioderm, Lancome, etc. So that is how the companies need to identify themselves. So whether it is also differentiating in terms of being a luxury product or something which is used by professionals, or it is a consumer product or pharmaceuticals. So again, the same product, but depending on its composition, its segmentation, and its positioning, may fall into any of these different uh, buckets of luxury, professional, consumer, or pharmaceuticals. So when we talk in terms of high-tech positioning, we are talking of factors like laptops, cameras, mobile phones. We also were talking in terms of high automobiles, which are very high-tech in terms of their product features today. Today we talk in terms of car manufacturers who talk of being Wi-Fi savvy or Wi-Fi inside or internet inside kind of features. Then the technical products, which they particularly we see in automated automobiles, for example, where they talk in terms of the comfort and luxury of driving, kind of a product which is very, very technically savvy. So here we need to understand that customers are very, very savvy in terms of their knowledge about these particular products. So the positioning is being done accordingly. Then we have special interest products. Cameras are one of the best examples. Somebody who is a wildlife photographer, for example, the kind of requirement they have vis-a-vis someone who does a fashion shoot, vis-a-vis someone who does wedding shoots would be very, very different. So that kind of special interest products, though it seems like cameras are common to everyone, and then you think of an occasional traveler who likes to get a good picture where they travel to some known or unknown places. So the requirements of each of them would be very, very different. So then demonstration products. Here we are talking in terms of products which speak for themselves. For example, video cameras. At one point in time, if you talk in terms of video cameras, you only talked in terms of Sony or, cameras. You also talked in terms of video cameras, Sony, regular cameras, Canon, for example, or Nikon. So there were not much of choices that were available if you wanted, demonstration products in terms of products which speak for themselves. But over a period in time, a lot more competitors have come into that particular business. And then we talk in terms of high touch now. We were talking earlier about high tech, now high touch positioning. Here in terms of high tech, uh, vis-a-vis high touch. High touch products are more related to emotions. The very word touch. So it's something that you can equate with easily. Tech is technology touches to do with emotions because you can feel it in among any of the five or other senses. So these products require more emphasis on image than on information. So customers of high touch products also share a common language and they have certain symbols for themes related to these products. So there are three categories of high touch products. One is products that solve a common problem. That is, it solves, for example, something like dandruff shampoos. Solves a common problem. Or second is the global village product where we are talking in terms of countries of origin, which will enhance their appeal to global consumers. For example, if you talk in terms of Mercedes, which is driven by the German engineering, everybody knows that Germans traditionally make wonderful machinery, and same goes with Mercedes or automobiles or even airlines for that matter. The third one is products that are universal themes. So these are products which have several emotions like love, play, heroism, materialism. So they are appealing to a transnational consumer base. So these have universal themes. And then we move to marketing in underdeveloping countries. Here, the companies are very, very deliberately focused on underdeveloping countries because there is a high potential in terms of the future business. So, one is in terms of the unexploited because there are very, very few competitors in that particular market. And there is a huge market potential. Think of India, say 10, 15 years ago versus how it is now. A lot has changed, and a lot of the products have been introduced into the Indian market for this very same reason. For example, if we talk in terms of automobiles, the kind of range that we have is pretty much on par with what is being offered in other countries. The second one is in terms of unexplored resources.
Oh.
So less developed countries
Madam,
have
time
large
again.
unexplored resources. 5 minutes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Both human and natural. So, skilled and semi skilled labor can be easily and cheaply obtained in such countries. The third one is in terms of less competition. So, obviously, if it is an unexplored market, the economies is minimal, so not many competitors may enter the market, but you may have the first mover advantage. The next one is in terms of a tax advantage. So, less developed countries may try to attract capital and technology by offering a number of tax benefits to potential buyers or sellers in that particular market, which are difficult to find in developed countries. So these are some of the factors which are to be considered when you are talking in terms of the STP globally. That is segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So companies that serve global markets, they need to divide the market into several clusters based on similarities or homogeneity, and each cluster or group is known as segment. And when markets are considered, they can be segmented in multiple ways. But the most important characteristic or format is the demographic, followed by psychographic, and third is behavioral segmentation. Then, if you're talking in terms of segmenting the market, one or more segments are chosen for trade to be carried out. So, that is known as targeting. So, which of these potential market segments are you targeting? Are you going all out, or are you, segmenting uh, based on multiple factors and targeting only one or more of those markets or groups? Then the third one that needs to be considered is in terms of positioning. So when we talk in terms of product positioning, it is nothing but the favorable impression of the product against that of the competitor's product in the mind of the customer. So it is from a customer's viewpoint that we talk in terms of positioning, and how we also consider whether it is more advantageous to go into well-developed countries which have already an established competition base, or move into less developed countries which may offer several advantages to organizations. So, with this, we come to the end of today's session, and I hope you are clear. If you have any questions, please free put it in the chat box, and I'll be happy to address it. Okay, so thank you so much, and look forward to catching up with you on another occasion. Thank you and bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sudesh.